Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna se tomara, Krishna dite para, tomara sakati ache.
Krishna se tomara, Krishna dite paro, tomara shakati ache.
Amito Kanga, Krishna Krishna boli.
Amito Kanga, Krishna Krishna boli.
Amito Kanga, Krishna Krishna boli. Daitava pache, pache.
Ohe Vaishnava Thakura, Duyara Sagara, Vedase Karuna Kori. Ohe Vaishnava Thakura, Duyara Sagara, Vedase Karuna Kori. Ohe Vaishnava Thakura, Ohe Vaishnava Thakura, Vedase Karuna Ohe Vaishnava Thakura, Duyara Sagara, Vedase Karuna Kori.
Vedase Karuna Kori. Vedase Karuna
Kori. Vedase Karuna Kori.
Hare Krishna, Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome everyone. So nice to see all of you this morning. So I'm just going to share my screen so we can start the prayers to the spiritual master. Om Jnanam Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadammayam Dadati swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitangsha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so last time we were doing chapter 16. And so we're continuing on. And I was trying to exactly remember where we left off. There are two types of people, right? Did we do these? So we did the two types of people. Did you do this slide? Anyone remember this?
We finished with 13 to 15.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay, very nice. So, oh yeah, and then this was the last slide. Yes, this one here was the last slide. Perfect. So we were comparing the difference, the fundamental difference between those who are of divine nature and those who are of the demoniac nature. What is the fundamental difference? Because even with those of divine nature, we find faults. And in those of the demoniac nature, we find good qualities. But then Krishna and Srila Prabhupada explain that the major difference, if we want to take shelter of the divine nature, is where we take shelter. Those who are demoniac, though they may have good qualities, they're taking shelter of their ego, of their lust. And those who have divine nature, they are taking shelter of Daivim Prakritim. They're taking shelter of the Supreme Lord, of a higher position, of a higher power. So here we go. So here it is. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, so we had the two types of yes. Sorry. Here. Daivim Sampadam and Asuram Sampadam. Daivim Sampadam are those who are of the divine nature, who have divine qualities. And Asuram Sampadam are those with the demoniac qualities, or the demoniac nature or demoniac shelter. So Krishna first spoke about the Daivim Sampadam. We read through all the qualities of those who are divine. And now we are going through the Asuram Sampadam. And that's where we are at now. So here Krishna says, Tanaham vishyata kruran sansareshu naradhaman Kshipam yajasram ashubhan asurishveva yonishu. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, I perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. So this is a very important and significant verse, because this verse has also led to a lot of controversy and different interpretations. Because here Krishna is saying, perpetually, I perpetually cast them into the ocean of material existence, and because he says perpetually, there's even some Vaishnava traditions, like for example, the teaching of Madhvacharya, where he teaches that there's some souls that never get liberation, because they are demoniac souls. They will always stay in the material world. They'll keep rotating in this cycle of material existence. And given that they are very, very they are very disturbed always, and they never get liberation. They never get freedom from suffering. They never get freedom from this material existence. So that's why he says that there's some that are nitya baddha, which means literally nitya baddha. Now, that is not our philosophy. We don't believe in this philosophy of eternal damnation or eternal conditioning. And it also gives us hope that this is part of our philosophy, because our acharyas, Gaudiya Vaishnava acharyas, Madhvacharya is also our acharya, but specifically Gaudiya Vaishnava acharyas, they distinguish their philosophy from Madhva's philosophy in this regard, where they say, and Srila Prabhupada says, that this word perpetually means for a very long time. For a very long time. And Prabhupada, in one lecture, he explains how, just like when a mother or a father is very, very angry with the child, they'll say, I am going to lock you up, and you have to stand in the garage for the next 10 days, always. You're never going to get, freedom now. But they're scolding, right? They don't mean it literally, but to scare the child that, if you're going to be so naughty, then I'm going to keep you bound, tied up, and with no untying date, right? Like Mother Yashoda did to Krishna. She didn't tell him, well, you have to be here for 30 minutes and then I'll untie you. She just tied him up and left him. Then the child or the person will feel afraid that how long will I be here? Always? So Krishna is speaking like that. He's like a father who's chastising his child. Perpetually, I will cast them. And he's speaking to the readers that if we're envious and mischievous, this is the result. So we should not be envious and mischievous. We should work according to Krishna's will and desire. Lead our life according to the laws of Krishna. So people, especially who are very envious and mischievous, like these people who are very, very cruel, even some of our politicians who are causing tens of thousands of people to die, millions of people actually, just for their pride. They have a very scary future. Krishna is saying that here. But it's still not eternal. Still not eternal. So one day I was, many days, often, I was just marveling that, how many species there are. There's 8,400,000 species of life. And so many of these species of life have such long lives. Some have very short lives, but some have very long lives. Like the redwood trees, some of those trees are 500 years old, and they're standing there. That's just one species. Some of the aquatic species scientists don't know. They live for thousands of years down in the ocean, real slow life. Deep water sharks, they are living there for such a long period of time. So so many these species are there, and the living entity is going through these species, birth after birth. So if someone is very mischievous, very bad, and they are very, very cruel, then Krishna may put them through the whole cycle. And Prabhupada says that is the greatest fear. When Krishna says in the Gita that he says the opposite also. He says that one who takes to this process, neha vikramanasho asti, pratyavayo navidate, swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. One who takes to this process of devotional service, even for a few days, even a little bit, Krishna says, I save them. Swalpam apyasya, even a little bit, swalpam, very little, they make some effort. I save them from the greatest type of fear. Trayate mahato bhayat. Mahato bhayat, great fear. And Prabhupada explains, what is that great fear? It's from falling back into this cycle of 8,400,000 species of life. We'll have to wait millions of years before getting another opportunity. So that's what Krishna is referring to, the perpetually cast. It's like so long, it's sad. Therefore, in the material existence, we find so many species of life, animals, insects, men, and so on. All are arranged by the superior power. They are not accidental. As for the demoniac, it is clearly said here that they are perpetually put into the wombs of demons, and thus they continue to be envious, the lowest of mankind. Right? Even in the human form of life, one can be born in situations where one has very little opportunity, very little chance of elevation. And that's why the devotees, they go out on Harinam Sankirtan. That's why they go out on book distribution, because it is only that opportunity by which these souls might get liberation. They might get freedom from bondage. So that is the great fear. And the hope is that the holy name may enter into the ears of even these species, and they may get a human form in their next life. And Krishna says, this is the fear, this is the encasement or casting of the soul. So then what leads to this? He explains after this. What are the three things that we have to stay away from if we want to get freedom from this cycle? Trividham narake sedam varam nashanam kama krodhas tatha lobhas tasmad etatrayam tyajet. There are three gates leading to this hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give these up, for they lead to the degradation of the soul. There are three gates leading to this hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give these up, for they lead to the degradation of the soul. So, how do we give up lust? Prabhupada says by purifying it, by turning into love. So we transform lust into love. And a big part of controlling lust, giving up lust, is regulating it. When we regulate it, we get the strength to eventually give it up. So that is the first thing. Then we have anger, right? Anger, Prabhupada says, we just read, right? It impurifies the body. So how to give up this anger is very hard. Even amongst those who have given up lust, they struggle in giving up anger. Right? Durvasa Muni has given up lust. He's a yogi for millions of years. No apsaras have been able to make him fall down. But still he could not give up his anger. And thus he tried to curse Ambrish Maharaj, due to which he got a very heavy reaction. So even great sannyasis, yogis, saints, sages, they though they become free from lust, they are unable to give up anger. Because anger is actually more difficult to give up than lust. We think that it's lust, but actually anger is even more difficult. And this was a great quality of Maharaj Yudhishthira, that though the greatest provocation would be there, he would not become angry. So one can try to do this artificially, but it doesn't last very long. So how does one actually overcome anger? Prabhupada explains, by the strength of bhakti. Austerity alone may actually increase anger, because austerity makes a person harder alone by itself. But when we are doing the practice of bhakti, then it softens the heart. A devotee, due to their devotion for Krishna, they develop compassion. So they turn their anger into compassion. That rather than feeling angry, they feel pity or compassion upon the perpetrator of the aggressor. So, and that compassion can only develop as a result of the strength of bhakti, devotional service. The austerities that we do in devotional service, they soften the heart. And that austerity and that devotion not only becomes a form of austerity, but it helps us overcome lust and anger. And then finally, greed, right? So we may give up lust, we may give up anger. Both of these things we may give up. We may become a very happy, peaceful yogi, like you see, peaceful. They become the missionaries of peace, right? And very, very. Some of these gurus that you see, they become, like known for always smiling, the smiling guru, never becoming angry, because they conscientiously do that. But then there's a greed for worship, power, position, for recognition, for honor, for material comforts, luxury, because now you've overcome lust and anger. You're not struggling with the baser things. That person has become very polished, but still they are greedy for themselves. Let me now, in the mode of goodness, be the best of all, and let everyone worship me and honor me, right? And see just how good and peaceful and well-spoken and eloquent I am, right? Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur talks about this in the Vrindavan Mahimamrita. And then he says, where will the good qualities take you? You are thinking your good qualities will save you, but where will they take you? So the greed still is there of being recognized as a great soul. And that greed can be given up by greed for the mercy of Krishna. In fact, Rupa Goswami says that is the very requirement for devotional service. The eligibility for gaining pure devotional service is intense greed for bhakti. So by transferring that greed from oneself, one's personal benefit, to greed for service to Krishna, greed for love of Krishna, then that greed can become purified. And so we are mandated by Krishna to give them up. And all three of these things can be given up by focusing our greed upon becoming the devotee of Krishna. So this is the cycle of the three gates. Lust is the seed, right? That's why Krishna says in the Gita, lust is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. When Arjuna asks, what causes us to perform sinful activities? Krishna says it's lust. It all starts with lust. But then unchecked lust will lead to anger. And unchecked lust will lead to greed. And both anger and greed, which go together, we get really angry when we are greedy, they lead to moha, or illusion, and we become illusioned. I've, so many times recently even experienced this, right? You feel angry, and then and you're greedy, and you're feeling like you really want this, that, or really you're feeling angry towards someone, and then we're so small in this world, we're so infinitesimal, we're not able to, nothing comes of it. We're not able to get what we achieve. Our anger is not satisfied. In fact, maybe we get even more insulted and more um, angry. Our pride is crushed even more. Then we fall into moha, or illusion. It's just a person becomes, they take shelter of then in extreme cases, people take shelter of some sort of intoxication, some sort of thing to just forget about it, right? And then that type of intoxication then leads to more pride. The anger is a result of pride, but then a person becomes even more prideful because we go to a baser level of material existence. And then from that pride comes more envy. We become envious of every living being. So what's an example of this that is very, very common and widespread, of this envy, becoming envious of every living being? That is meat eating, right? Meat eating is where we're envious of even other people's bodies, that they should not live. They should live for my food. And this comes from pride, that we think I'm so special, that another person should give up their life just for my one meal. And Hanumat Prashad Maharaj was mentioning that he actually was, some in an airport or something, and he was overhearing a conversation, and one person was talking about how, he was trying to convince the other person that, a vegetarian diet would be better for them. And if you do vegetarian, you can, some health troubles he was struggling with, you overcome them, and it's healthier, it's better for the environment, it's better for them. So many ways he was encouraging him, telling him so nicely that they shouldn't. But then the man responds, yes, I agree. It's a healthier diet, it's a tastier diet, and it's, environmentally friendly diet. But then he said, but you see, but someone needs to die for my meal. That's, that's just the way it needs to be. So he's conscientiously feeling that, look, my food has to be the body of another person. And that's the material consciousness. And that is moha, leading to pride, leading to envy. So that's why human life begins with regulating this lust. This is why the greatest travesty in human society is the degradation of 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 culture, right? The marriage institution being dissolved, even in non-religious societies. Just in the past, there's always, there's some honor to a relationship, marriage, all these things. But now we see Kali Yuga at its very peak, that any type of shame, respect, value for honoring relationships is being, the demons are trying hard very much to destroy it, right? Through all these medias, videos, internet, all these things. It's just rampant lust. And that rampant lust is causing so much pain and anxiety in this world. The reaction is so heavy, and people are so suffering so much. And it's a great, because it all starts with that. And so Krishna says, right, it's the all-devouring sinful enemy in this world. And so previous societies that were religious, they were trying to regulate it, right? There's laws even today in very conservative societies. It's like, marriage is such a serious thing. And that's so good, because that is where human life begins. chastity, right? Yeah, that's the main thing. So raise oneself at least to the mode of goodness. One has to raise himself to at least the mode of goodness before the path to understanding the Supreme Lord can be opened. This is very interesting, right? People say, well, I can do whatever I like. Main thing is my bhakti, my devotion to Krishna. But here, Prabhupada is saying, one must at least come to the mode of goodness before the path to understanding the Supreme Lord can be opened. Anyone can do devotional service, right? Anyone can chant Hare Krishna, even if they're eating meat, all these things. But if we actually want to understand the Lord, and we want that path to open, the mode of goodness must be established. Without raising oneself to the standard of the mode of goodness, one remains in ignorance and passion, which are the cause of demoniac life. The problem with the passion and ignorance is that we'll do the goodness, but then after 2 weeks we'll be back into our groove, and we'll give up those spiritual activities because passion and ignorance will take over. And Rupa Goswami says this, right, in the Nectar of Instruction, that intense hankering, intense endeavor for anything, it destroys our spiritual life. Why? Because it's in the mode of passion. Then all of a sudden our spiritual life doesn't have time, our regulation breaks, and everything goes topsy-turvy. Without coming to the platform of Sattva Guna, nobody can advance in spiritual life. That is a fact. Without coming to the platform of Sattva Guna, which is the mode of goodness, nobody can advance in spiritual life. That is a fact. Just like nobody is allowed to enter the law college unless he is a graduate. We cannot enter. It's like a gate. You cannot enter. This restriction is there. What he will understand, law, he must be a graduate. So similarly, first of all, one has to come to the platform of Sattva Guna. Then spiritual knowledge begins. There's now a philosophy going on in our movement that actually the rules and regulations of the rules and regulations, like the 4 regulated principles, are not part of bhakti. Right? They support bhakti. They're favorable to bhakti, but they're not actually part of the process of bhakti. And here we see Prabhupada, whatever merit it may have, Prabhupada here is dissolving it, is dissolving this false philosophy. Because he's saying that no, spiritual knowledge, which is non-different than devotional service, right? Lord Chaitanya says this, that the holy name is Vidya Vadhu Jivanam, right? So that begins when we're on the platform of goodness. So if we're not following the regulated principles, then we are not performing bhakti, and we cannot perform bhakti to Krishna properly. Agyata Sukriti is different. When we get some devotional credit as a result of unknown devotional service. But if one is actually on the process of bhakti, one must follow the rules and regulations that are required to be on the mode of goodness. So those godly characteristics are there. Either you practice yourself to come to the godly characteristics, or there is a simple method. If you take to devotional service, all the godly qualities automatically come. This is the process. So in this age, to develop these godly qualities is very difficult. But if you take to Krishna consciousness by the simple method, by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, then automatically you develop all the good qualities. So one must practice the process of Krishna consciousness. And that means chanting the holy name of the Lord. And true chanting, as you know, means chanting without offenses. And what are some of the offenses against the holy name? 3, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. The spiritual master is telling us follow the four regulative principles. If we don't follow them, we're disobeying the orders of the spiritual master. Then the holy name will not reveal itself to us. Similarly, offense number 7, to sin on the strength of the holy name of the Lord. So to feel that I'm chanting, and because I'm chanting, because I'm engaged in the process of bhakti, I don't need to follow the rules and regulations. That's sinning on the strength of the holy name of the Lord. And then number 10, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments. He says the sinful activities, to maintain material attachments, even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. Right? So 3 or 4 times that's mentioned in the offenses against the holy name, that the holy name will only reveal itself if we also make some effort, conscious effort, to come to the platform of the mode of goodness. Otherwise, why we cannot just chant and wake up at whatever time of the day we want to, chant whenever we want to, eat wherever we want to, drink whatever we want to, smoke whatever we want to, because these two things go hand in hand, right? We have a lifestyle, devotional lifestyle that Prabhupada so clearly described because that is part of our chanting. That is serving the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. Of course, if we're unable to do all of that, then still we must chant because the chanting will help us come to that level. The chanting is very important. Then text 23, demoniac nature. What are the 2 things that are the key 4 qualities of the demoniac nature that lead to all of the other things? Is 1, disregarding scriptures, and 2, acting whimsically. So when we disregard scriptures, we act whimsically. That is, whatever we want to do. No regulation, no vows. That's whimsical life. That the result is degradation, no perfection, no happiness, no supreme destination. Right? Just think, those who are very, very successful in material life, like sports, right? We had the World Cup recently. Then such people have so much regulation in their life. Even materially speaking, the people who are very successful are those who have very good regulation. And they become the Olympic, runners and, players and all these things. So how is it possible that in spiritual life, no regulation is needed, right? No regulation or those things. So that is very, very important. And the divine nature is following the scriptures, performing one's duty. So it's the life of non-whimsicality. We follow the scriptures. We respect this. People say, oh, you're too much about, But we're respecting Krishna when we respect the scriptures and performing one's duty, acting out of duty. I have a duty, so let me perform it nicely. Okay, that's it. Wow, very nice. Very short chapter. Okay, so before we go on, we will take some questions, comments. Lalita Pran Mataji. You can unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna, Gopal Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I think this is just, I don't know what to say, maybe something naive or amateurish question or something like that. And also I have this reflection in the last what you said, to excel even in a sports person, he follows a regulative principles for his to be successful. So even in spiritual life, why don't we apply that? I think that is actually, I think that is a very, very significant point. We all need to understand,
Yes.
regulate our spiritual life too. Otherwise, it's not possible to succeed even in this life. And succeeding in spiritual life is, getting the revelation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And I think this is a naive Prabhu. I don't know what revelation actually means. So we do offenseless chanting. the name will reveal itself. That's what we have been hearing, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
what does it actually mean, that revelation?
So the name reveals itself in degrees, right? It's not like an overnight switch. We get more and more taste for the holy name and more realization of Krishna in terms of nama, guna, and lila. Krishna's name, the sweetness of his name, his qualities become more revealed to us, and his pastimes. So as devotees chant, Krishna's pastimes may become revealed. They may see Krishna's pastimes. They may hear his flute. But these are on very high stages. And the more we chant when avoiding the 10 offenses, that is, the more we chant free of offenses, the more the holy name is revealed. So that's what it means, that when the holy name is revealed, is that the devotee is striving or is successful in avoiding the 10 offenses. Because the only thing that is stopping us from experiencing the sweetness of the holy name, which is already there, is the curtain of offenses. Offenses meaning material attachments, envy, lust, anger, greed. So the holy name is gradually purifying our heart of these things. And so it's working, but until it's purified, we will struggle this holy name will struggle in breaking through the thick cloud of moha within our heart, right? But as the sun of the holy name shines more and more, that cloud dissipates, the fog dissipates, and then we can see ourselves, and we can see Krishna very clearly.
Thank you so much, Gopal Prabhuji.
Thank you. Also, when we chant nicely, then the way that the holy name reveals to us is that we get a relish in the chanting. So one sign of the holy name revealing to himself to us is that we don't want to stop chanting. Right? And few very nice devotees who chant 64 rounds a day, many rounds, I asked them, how is it that you chant, and when did you make the decision? Why is it that you started chanting so much? And they say that no, it comes naturally, it comes automatically, because they don't want to stop, then they do more. If we force ourselves, we'll do it for some time and then we'll stop, because we know the minimum number is 16. But when we actually have a taste, then we'll keep doing it, because no one will spend 8 hours of their day doing something unless they have a taste. 8 hours. I mean, we have so many things to do. We have so many ambitions. How can we put aside everything for 8 hours? We can only do it if we're actually getting a taste. So this is how the holy name reveals to us. It gives us taste.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. I think your explanation is, the complete answer. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Vijay Nishinga Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Gopal Hare Prabhu. Dandava Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. My question was related to 6.19, the initial verse that we covered about that perpetual damnation. Is it correct to understand that, yes, it's perpetual damnation while they are mischievous and envious, and that any time they get that sualpam sadharmasya, then they are then again eligible for liberation? Is that correct to think like that?
Yes. Yes. The only problem there is, the only kind of challenge, not problem, is that if one is perpetually cast, it may be millions of lifetimes before one gets the chance for the Swarpamapyasa Dharmasya. So that's why it's a fear. Otherwise, one can say, well, then it's perpetual until next time I do it. But I won't have the realization to do it until I come back into a human form, unless I'm very lucky. And so it will be 8 million species, dogs, cats, all these things, before I come to the human form of life. So that is the risk. Now, as a dog, we could get prasadam, we could hear the holy name, and then next life, we get out. And that's the Salpamapyasya, like you're saying, that's the good fortune. But in the absence of that good fortune, it can be a very long wait. too.
Because I mean, if we think about it, even when we're in the temple, there's program going on, or kirtan or katha going on. There are mosquitoes, there's flies, there's a rat that crawls through the roof, So I guess that, any swalpam could potentially bring
Yes.
them back to restart the cycle earlier.
Yes, absolutely. And those are the fortunate souls, right? Those are the fortunate souls. Uh, and I was wondering about this, there's trillions of living entities. Like, how does it all work? Such few humans and trillions of living entities. And it really bothered me, and I couldn't find this answer. So I asked Hanuman Swami. I said, Hanumat Peshku Maharaj is visiting Boise, that, how is it, that it seems like we're too fortunate, only 8 billion humans, and in one patch of grass, there'll be maybe a trillion living entities. I mean, how is it that all these living entities eventually are getting funneled to a human form? And what he explained is you have to understand that Krishna's creation is literally unlimited. Right? It's so unlimited. We have to understand that there's so many millions and billions of other planets that people are going to, that these souls may be transferred over to. Even within this planet, the insects and mosquitoes, they have much shorter lifespans, so they go through that very quickly. But even if they do, it still didn't make sense to me. Like, let's say if there's 100 trillion living entities, even if they're moving really quickly through it, eventually they have to come to the human form. So how does there just like 8 billion living beings? So he was explaining that that there's even modern science says 100 billion galaxies, each containing 100 billion stars. Right? So yes, we could end up into the temple room, but we could easily end up also in the middle of the Amazon forest, where no devotee is going. Right? And that's the greatest type of fear. And that's what Prabhupada is saying, that make this your last lifetime, because we really did get a wonderful opportunity. And if we waste this opportunity, then it's not that there's no result of it. The Lord does punish us. Somewhere he says, I'm forgetting the exact quote, but he says that Lord Chaitanya's mercy is so great at this time. I mean, we are being born at a time, these 10,000 years, where getting Krishna Prema, what to speak of just liberation, Krishna Prema is made so easy. He said, if we waste this, then we don't get another chance for a million lifetimes. He says this somewhere, a million lifetimes. Then in another place, Prabhupada says that a devotee, a disciple who, betrays Prabhupada, like kind of forsakes him, then Prabhupada said, this is in a letter, he said, for 700 lifetimes, he will not find a genuine guru. Somewhere there's a quote in the scripture that says this, that you have a genuine spiritual master and you forsake them, you disregard them, you don't see their value. Then Krishna says, okay, I gave you the opportunity, you didn't see the value, so now try it without that guidance. And try it for 700 lifetimes. And then after 700 lifetimes, you get the chance for having the opportunity to meet another spiritual master, right? So, so like this, we don't believe in eternal damnation, but the revelation that we get by reading these verses is that, yes, we don't, but still, we do believe in big consequences. And Krishna's speaking almost in the same language as the Christians do. By Krishna's mercy, it's not literal, but he's speaking that same language. Like, don't waste this life. Like Christians say, right? Don't waste it. It's heaven or hell. And we don't agree with that philosophy, but we do agree with the warning that it's a big miss. We need to understand the seriousness of human life and the opportunity of Krishna consciousness. So I think that's where Prabhupada is.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Rupa Sen Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. All glories to
Hare
Srila
Krishna.
Prabhupada. I have a question. So this is my daily basis. I'm actually surrounding by, devotees and non-devotees. When they have these three things, calm, crowd, love, or they have a power, some power, mid-sized power, and no power. They're still carrying. So how Krishna actually handling them?
The devotees who have these things?
Either devotees or non-devotees.
Well, in very different ways. You see, in the non-devotees, it's through karma, it's through the school of hard knocks, until finally pushing the soul, or you could say, guiding the soul to surrender, right? But in the case of a devotee, Krishna is dealing with it not through karma, but through very personally, through guidance, through purification, through challenges in their life, to help the devotee overcome these things. And so we find in a devotee's life sometimes there's great adversity, right? Some disease, some challenge, some great loss, and that is to help us become free from these three qualities. And Prabhupada says this very clearly, and devotees repeated, that if we take very seriously to the process, then there'll be less challenges in a devotee's life. But if we are lax, then there's more challenges, because then Krishna, through other things in our life, has to make us serious. So the same austerity needs to be there, right? The austerity can be austerity in bhakti, waking up in the morning, chanting our rounds, following the four regulated principles is austerity. But if we voluntarily do the austerity, it purifies our heart, brings us closer to Krishna. If we're unwilling to do the austerity voluntarily, then Krishna, to help us, because once a person becomes a devotee, Krishna accepts him as his child. He's not just a citizen, he's a child. He's personally training that person. So then one has to perform the austerities through other means. Like Prabhupada says, a sick person is naturally on a very low, careful diet, is eating less, is sleeping less, is, very kind of prayerful. So those qualities automatically become manifest. So it's also Krishna's blessing. And each one of us, we should not think in terms of others. Each one of us, we must understand the way we feel is that we are not sincere. So if we have some traverses, oh, Krishna's blessing, because now through this, Krishna's making it easier for me to do what I needed to do voluntarily anyway, which is surrender to Krishna. He's helping me in this process of surrender. And that's why in a devotee's life, any challenge, any disease, any problems are not a reaction. They are a mercy of Krishna. The devotee feels this is Krishna's mercy because he's making the process easy for me. I don't have to, push myself to do it. I'm obliged to do it. I'm obliged to pray to Krishna, to call out to Krishna, to think of Krishna in the middle of this crisis.
Thank you, Prabhu. That was nice explained.
Thank you. So also we should view other devotees like this also, that when another devotee goes through some difficulty, we should not think that they are, getting karma, but we should think that, Krishna is actually being so merciful to them. I wish he was merciful to me. Because by putting them in some challenge, Krishna is purifying their heart. So they're actually getting purified. I'm actually maybe not getting purified, but they're for sure getting purified. So when we see the suffering of other devotees or the things, now if they're being prideful and they're not going through any suffering and they're very, then actually we may pray for them. That actually, that's actually not so fortunate because they're in bhakti, but they're not practicing seriously. So that is not so lucky. So that maybe Krishna is letting them do it for some time, but then we know because they're a devotee, Krishna will bring them on the right path very soon.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. And Suchari Radha Rani Mataji.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, for the devotees who have recently joined, or who are, although they are chanting 16 rounds, but still, when they are in office, because when you're in office, you are properly in between material world or material people, material thought, and in office, yes, the politics is there, enviness and anger, all the doors to hell are open there. So yes, professionally, if you want to progress, if you want promotion, if you want a salary hike. Uh, so people, they start their politics as well, and the what we say maskabazi, everything goes on. So in that case, how should one deal? Because you don't want to be part of politics, but yes, financially, if everybody wants to be stable.
Yes. So very nice question. And not just your office, even among devotee circles, right? Even within ISKCON, so much of this goes on. And today's discussion and content that was being shared with us by Srila Prabhupada, what he was saying is most relevant, actually, to this question is the most relevant. The theme was that Prabhupada is saying that always stay in the mode of goodness, right? That in every circle, in office circle, in family circle, in devotee circle, there'll always be people who want to pull us into their web, right? Drag us into some politics. If we're not doing it ourselves, someone will do us the favor of dragging us into it, will encourage us to participate in it. But we should always be in the mode of goodness, exactly like you're saying, that I don't want to be part of this. I don't want to play games. I'm just going to do my duty, my service, and as far as possible, stay out of it, not be sucked into the drama. Um, and it's very important that we feel this way. Um, um, uh, I whenever this has happened in my life, that someone has said, "Oh no, you should, be very, like this," has kind of instigated me to say things that are in that kind of getting in that mindset of passion, ignorance, then I've always regretted it. It's always like it creates a big mess. And especially among devotees, even less at office, because office is a material world, okay, even if you do it, it's like, well, everyone's doing it, and life goes on and all those things. But in devotional life, especially, we have to be very careful to always stay in the mode of goodness. Someone may be our friend, but just because they're our friend doesn't mean that we need to support them in the mode of passion and ignorance. We have to reflect before saying anything, before doing anything, before acting on it. The hardest part is to take a minute and to reflect. Is this the mode of goodness? Is this the right thing to do? And then I'll do it. Sometimes not saying something is the wrong thing to do. Sometimes saying something is the right thing to do. But then how am I saying it? To whom am I saying it? When am I saying it? And when all those things when we're acting in the mode of goodness, then we'll measure everything and all those things will be right. Like Swavas Prabhu, he's one of the longest lasting temple presidents in ISKCON, the temple president of Los Angeles. His first rule in management is never react, right? So whenever he has someone comes and someone says something very bad, he'll never respond at the moment. He'll say, let me think about it. And then he'll come back the next day after an hour, after 4 hours, and then he'll respond. So that he knows, so that for himself he does it, not for the other person, but for himself. So he knows that my response will be in the mode of goodness. Because if we respond with passion to the mode of passion, then it will only get worse. If we respond with ignorance to the mode of passion, that's also. Only when we respond in the mode of goodness does the conversation, does the situation uplift. So these things all of us know, you also know, we all know. But the hard part is actually when the moment comes, when the time comes to apply these things. And that's where our daily spiritual practice, our sadhana, helps. So when we are rightly situated and every day we are chanting our rounds before doing other things, then we're like protected. Krishna gives a protection. It puts us more in the mode of goodness. But we also conscientiously, that's why we read Shastra, conscientiously we also try to practice being in the mode of goodness. Husband-wife relationship is the same thing. It's like once we were just talking about this 2 days ago when someone's home, then we were talking about this. And yes, in spiritual life, husband and wife also have disagreements. They also, because that's the nature. That's kind of Krishna's given us that leeway. Prabhupada says that the rumbling of the clouds will always be there in family life, but the intensity of it and the nature of it does change through purification. That when we are more in the mode of goodness, when both husband and wife are more in the mode of goodness, the disagreement will be there, the rumbling will be there, but then the grudges will not stay there. The intensity will be less because it's more of goodness. It's not passion and ignorance, which leads to very serious things. So, the qualities of the world still remain, or you could say the activities of the world still remain. The basic natures remain, but by being in the mode of goodness, the effects of them become less. Right? It's like Prabhupada says, a serpent where the teeth are broken. Right? So it's still there, the hissing is still there, but it's a lot less. It becomes more, very less. And we see with devotees as they advance more and more, and they become more and more spiritually, serious and absorbed in their spiritual life, it becomes almost nil because Krishna becomes the focus, and there's just no interest in what I want, what she wants, all these things. Everyone is just serving, wanting to do what Krishna wants. So yeah, so that's very nice point that you brought up. Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu. The last line which you mentioned, that the faith that whatever Krishna has given or is giving is sufficient. So, I mean, I really liked it. I mean,
Thank you.
thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, we were listening to one class for Chandramani Maharaj, and he said something very similar. He said that sometimes Krishna is giving us a message through different ways. That what he's given us, we need to appreciate or value what he's given us. So sometimes we want something else, but Krishna's not giving it, or the question was particularly in terms of envy. So we're envious of someone else or something else, but even outside of that context, like Krishna is not giving something else, to your point, because Krishna wants us to see what he's given us, because we already have something wonderful, but we're not noticing it. Yes, thank you. Saki Sundari Mataji.
Yeah. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. This is Balkrishna Das.
Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah, Prabhuji, very nice actually, nicely you describe all this and very enlightening. So Prabhuji, I have one question in the same line actually what Mataji asked, that sometime actually what happens, like what I personally felt like, we're in mode of ignorance or because of your past karma, or maybe I'm so much, neophyte at this stage. So we react to the situation, and then later we realize, okay, we did the wrong, and like we did the wrong, or we shouldn't be reacted on that particular situation. And then it's very hard to correct also after that.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes personally, like I felt like, especially in case of devotee, like if we are in like so much engaged in the service, and even I don't know like what I feel like, even when we do so much like engage in the service, and after that how come the ignorance heavier on actually us instead of goodness, right? And you are in a service, right, morning
Yes.
till evening, then the goodness should be like what I this is my personal problem, I would say, like the goodness should be like more than the ignorance, and shouldn't be in reacting to that situation. But still sometime it happens actually. How we can prevent actually that when such kind of thing is happening, how we can correct or get alerted ourselves actually so that it won't happen, or if it is happened, then how we can correct it actually.
Yes, your question is just like Arjuna's question. He says that he's in chapter 6. He's telling Krishna that basically every time I try and I think I'll be successful, but then we all experience this. But when the moment comes, then we forget, or we still react, we still respond, and then to that Krishna responds abhyasa yoga yuktina. He says through practice, through practice. So in the thing in the material life also, so many famous people, successful people, he said that they said before they succeeded, they failed 100 times, right? So even if we fail 100 times and each time we slip into the mode of ignorance, but the fact that we try back again and we try again, we will be successful one day. We have to have that faith. We will. If we keep trying and we keep at the process, it seems like, I or this other person are hopeless. But if the effort is there, we are trying, then we are successful. Every time, it's like every time we have to try. And then as we are trying to put Krishna more and more in the center, to put mode of goodness front and center, our life, all of our activities, all aspects of our life, we're bringing them in the mode of goodness. Our lifestyle, our possessions, everything, we're trying to bring them in the mode of goodness. Then gradually, passion and ignorance keep decreasing, goodness increases. So in the beginning, it's 20% goodness, 80% passion and ignorance. Then it's like 30%, then 40%. Even if we come to 50%, like, wow, it's a big relief, right? So, yeah. Yes.
Sure. Thank you.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Very nice. Ananda Gopika Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for those wonderful reflections of yours. I just wanted to share that these problems and also problems related to management at the temple, His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj has written a wonderful book, I'll Build You a Temple. And it has such good, excellent, I would say, ways to deal with management problems. And something that I remember from that is when he's my Guru Maharaj. So when Guru Maharaj was the president of the temple and people would bring all the problems, he would sit on them and wait until the weekend, because at weekend there would be 24 hours chanting, and automatically he realized that once the chanting was done, the problems would just solve on their own. He didn't have to even do anything. Everything will fall away. So just chanting fixed everything, and giving time and sitting on it and not reacting right away was the way he dealt with the problems there. So just wanted to share that anecdote, came to my mind. Thank you, Prabhu.
Wow. So he did 24 hours chanting every weekend?
So yeah, at Juhu, they started a 24-hour chanting on the weekends. And whenever he realized that would happen, devotees' problems would get solved. Like whatever the issue was, people would say, no, it's not needed anymore, or whatever. And it just like he wrote it a few times that was his observation. So he would just give it time. He would say, okay, I'll get back to you in a few days, and let that weekend happen. And then it would just fix in itself.
Wow, so nice. Wow, this is the example. The great souls, they teach by their example.
Yeah,
and it's so true. It's so true. And Prabhupada writes this, I think it's the 4th canto in the section of Prithu Maharaj. He says that a devotee of the Lord, a materialist, when there's a problem, they try to solve it. A devotee of the Lord tries, he makes an effort, and if it doesn't solve, then the devotee of the Lord chants Hare Krishna, and he waits for Krishna to solve it. This is exactly what you're mentioning, that okay, if it's easy to solve, then you respond to it, and devotees has common sense, they take care of things. But if there's some trouble, it's not solving, then they chant Hare Krishna. They keep chanting very intensely, they pray to Krishna, and Krishna solves it for them. So that is the way. What's the name of the book you had mentioned?
I'll Build You a Temple, the Juhu story.
The Juhu.
Thank you.
Okay, now you've inspired us all.
Yes, Prabhu. I have read it once, but I want to read it again and again. There are amazing excerpts from in there which help. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone. I think this is perfect time. It's time for us to end. And so we'll end here. And next week, we will start from chapter 17. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you,
Pranam.
Prabhu. Hare Krishna.